Hey guys, I wanted to show you this Craftsman drill press. I wanted to show you what it is, how it works, as well as how you take it apart. It's a Craftsman drill press with a very slow speed control. This is a older style mechanical speed control, so you don't have to be swapping your belts every single time you're moving from wood to metal or something. The model number is let's see, it's down here on the base, 103.23141 by Sears Roebuck. So it works. The speed works by this. I kind of made this little knob, but um, I don't have the belts on it right now because I need to get new belts. But when it's all the way to the left, that's its slowest. Now you only want to operate the speed control when it's running. So you always start at the slowest position. You could lock it into place, um, but you would fire it up, and then you could change the speed accordingly. And what it does is that it's changing the angle as well as the the belts and it's actually changing their length, believe it or not. Even though a belt has a fixed length, it changes. Um, you know, whether the belt that goes from this pulley to this pulley, that tension versus this pulley to this pulley, as well as the middle two, because in this very slow contraption, this moves up and down on both of these, and that allows, depending on the tension, it will allow the belt to sink in lower or be further outside on the pulley. So it's actually changing the pulley diameter in a way, because the belt is either sitting deeper or more towards the outside of the pulley. So it's a pretty cool older speed control contraption. So I'll give you a little bit of a walk around. Hopefully you can see it despite the shadow. My drill press is missing the top cover. I think there was a top cover on it at one time, and it was optional. You could have had a hand crank that would have mounted on here. There was a series of gears that you could crank it to have the table go up and down, but this one does not have that option. So now that you see how that works, you know, you got a normal track. It's like any other modern drill press. It's pretty cool. You have your depth adjustment. You can just adjust that down or up, and then when you put it down, it limits how deep you're drilling. You could lock the quill. Let me see. See, if you have it down, you can lock the quill with this knob right here. Let me go ahead and lock that. Oh, let's see. It's kind of hard to do this with one hand. But you could lock it in place, so you're drilling at a specific depth, and if you want to verify it doesn't move on you. This knob over here, that allows you to adjust the spring tension, right? So if you unlock it, let's see which way I have it set. Anyways, so you could adjust the spring tension on it. Either you spin it this way, when you release the handle, the drill press quill will rise back up, or you could have it in the middle, or you could have it this way, where when you release the handle, the drill press goes down. So if you're doing a lot of holes where you drill, move, next hole, you would drill down, let go, move your piece, go drill down, because it goes back up for you. This motor, it's pretty easy to adjust the tensioning as well as the positioning of the belt. On both sides, there's this 1/2-inch bolt, and that allows you to just, once you loosen that, you could simply just slide it in or out, tighten the belt. There's 4 bolts going around it that allows you to adjust up and down of the motor. And this motor is actually pretty cool, because, you know, most drill presses just go one direction. right? You flip it on, it goes one direction, or even if a modern one might have a switch to go in the reverse direction. I'm not sure what uses you would have it for a reverse direction. I don't know, but this one, if you wanted to, you could just loosen those bolts, pull the motor out, then you could take this little hex keeper in there to take the pulley off, and then you could actually put the pulley on the other side. You put the pulley on the other shaft, flip the motor upside down, stick it back in the guides, and then now you have a drill press that will run in the opposite direction. Pretty cool, I think. If you want to run a different size pulley, then you could just adjust the height, put the belt on it on a different one. It's pretty cool. Most times you're just running off the smallest one, because otherwise that drill press is just moving way too fast. And on the smallest pulley with this Vari-Slo contraption, you could virtually drill wood and metal. You don't really need to change sizes. A drill press of this age that doesn't have the Vari-Slo, it just has this pulley and then the front pulley. Probably either the motor side or that one of them would be upside down, right? So you just run the small pulley with the large pulley, or the large pulley with the small pulley, right? And then if you wanted to change speeds, you just move the belt. But since you have Vari-Slo, you just move the contraption. So let's get down to it. I'll show you how this thing comes apart. Okay, so first thing you want to do if you want to start pulling this thing apart, you know, if you want to get access to this, or if this thing is seized up, or it's not working smoothly, or virtually anything you want to do, I'll show you the process. Basically, let's see. Yeah, whenever you're servicing, whether just one part like the quill or whatever, you kind of have to take it apart in the exact same order. So loosen these two adjusting bolts, and then you can pull the whole motor off with this mount. So I'll go ahead and do that. Okay, it's off. I just loosened those bolts, took it off. Hopefully you can see in there. So this is the back side. This ring right here is attached to the Vari-Slo. That there's a, I'll show you. There's a whole entire pivoting point in here. This thing all pivots. But this is attached to this ring. So in order to take the Vari-Slo mechanism off, especially if you wanted to change the belts, right? You loosen that little hex thing right there, and then you're also going to take this front piece off. So take both of those off. I'll take them both off, and I'll show you how I slip it out. Okay. Now that I have these loosened, you know, this thing's loose, but you need to slip it off the shaft, because you can see the casting for the whole entire thing is in the way. So if you're, you know, if you have a buddy, you could loosen this big handle right here, and the whole mechanism will slide up and down, and you could have somebody lift it for you. But if you're working by yourself, what you can do is raise the table, right? Make sure it's loosened here, and then you could use the drill press to do the work for you, and just push the whole entire, you know, you're gonna be pushing the casting up, and you just want to push it up just enough to where there's a space between the top of this shaft and here, to where you could slip the whole mechanism forward, and then you're gonna have to just weave it out of there. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so what I did was I swung this mechanism off so it is not binding on the casting anymore right here, because once that is free, I'll show you what I mean about using this. So I need to make this clear up. I need to get this off this shaft. So I'll make room so when you lift it up, you can see that it's lifting up and off, and that allows you to slip it up. And then the nice thing is that this drill press has a locking quill, so you could go and lock it in place and have it held up for you as you go and slip this off. So That's all it takes. And then once I have enough space, I'll just lift it up and pull it out of there. I just got the Vari-Slo mechanism off. I'll let you take a look. When you're servicing this drill press, most people forget about the importance of servicing these bearings. Okay, so you can check to see if the bearings are loose. These pulleys actually have a bearing on the bottom and a bearing on the top, right? So usually, like when someone will pull this out to change the belts, they just ignore the bearings, but you know, get it while the getting's good, you know. So this is just the locking mechanism. So you could either replace those bearings or you could grease them. If you have a needle attachment for your grease gun, what I do is you can remove this. In my case, I have a bolt, but it used to be one of these. You remove this lock as well as the other one right here, and this whole attachment will separate from down here. I've tried for many hours trying to separate it from the top, but I don't think it's designed to remove from the top. If yours just comes off freely from the top, you know, good. Maybe you could try getting access to the bearings that way. You don't need to take off these ones right here. That just disconnects the pulley from the bearing, which you don't need to do if you're just going to grease it with a needle jerk. So I'm not going to pull it off right here, but because I already greased them. But you just separate these. Maybe get a really small flat screwdriver. Try to pry up on the little. There's a little metal washer cover that kind of covers it. Just poke a little hole in there, or try to pry it up a little bit, and just stick the needle in there and grease it. Make sure you spin it, and then that's how you service that. The next thing you're going to want to do, if you're preparing to take this quill out, right? Obviously, you're going to lock this thing back down so you can lift the quill up. But what we'll do is we'll next take this handle off, take this off, as well as a bolt that is underneath it, which is, let's see if I get that, and take this bolt off. That is what attaches the quill. But also there's a flat screwdriver, or there's flat screws, flathead screws in here. I'll back up on both sides. That is what keeps this pulley on the bearing mechanism. I'll go ahead and show you what I mean. So these screws, all I do is just back them out. You could get a magnet and pull them out if you want, but I did it. But these screws, you do not want these to get stuck on you, because otherwise, given them sitting deep in that hole, it is a pain to get them out. So take your time, lube it up, get a pick, clean out that head so you can get a screwdriver to grab it. If you can't seem to get a screwdriver to pull it out without wanting to strip it, then you might have to get one of those impact tools that you whack it and it turns a little bit and you try to jar it free. But just take your time, do not strip that out. But anyways, when you loosen those, that is what frees this pulley, right? Because you know the quill goes up and down, and you don't want this pulley moving up on you when it's attached to the belts. So I'll go ahead and pull this off, and I'll show you. I actually got my order slightly off. We're gonna go ahead and pull the bottom bolt out, as well as these two knobs, and we'll pull this quill out first. In order to take off this limiting bar, I don't know whatever you call that, you just go ahead and take this nut off right here, loosen this, and then this thing will just slide right out. This collar is going to stay on the quill, because this collar will only come off when you take when you separate the chuck from the quill. So I'll go ahead and pull that out. So I took the spring-loaded handle out with its locker, took that bolt out. This bolt, let's see, make sure you get that little washer that is with it. That's pretty important. And then after you get both of these pieces out and that bolt, I just moved the table out of the way, but this handle will just come right out. There you go. And you could service that, grease that, do whatever you want. So from here, you might want to be holding this as you pull it out. I just kind of had to do that because I'm holding the camera. But this piece will just slip right out. Should just slip right out. There you go. And there it is. Splines is what turns that. So this is off. Once you take this chuck off, there's a bearing down here and a bearing up here is what allows the shaft to spin inside here. Inspect those bearings, grease them in the same method that I told you about over there, just with the needle attachment. If you're curious how this chuck comes off, this right here actually spins off. This is threaded, so you'll unthread it as much as you can until it comes down. Then you're gonna want to try to knock it down and then try to unthread it some more. It's kind of it's like a combination of a threaded chuck as well as a funneled jam chuck. I don't know what you call it, but that's what it is. Now for this piece, let me get the focus. There's a lot of forums where people say, oh, you have to take the retaining clips. There's like a snap ring. Let's get this to focus. Come on. Anyway, there are snap rings on the underside of this pulley, but you could just pull all the bearings out with it. If yours is if the bearings are stuck in the hole, then it won't just lift out like this. But it's just a series of 2 bearings. Make sure you grease these. These are always forgotten when people try to take it out. You know, they think it can't come out because the snap ring, but the snap ring is only holding it in the down position, whereas there's 2 set screws on the side is what holds it in the up position. So that's what keeps it fixed. To make it easier, if it's stuck, what you can do is just simply lift this casting off of the shaft, and you could flip it upside down on the ground, elevate it on some blocks, and then what I did is I just got like a I don't know, 33 millimeter deep socket, and I just put it on top of it, and then just whack it and it'll come out. Like I said, you don't need to pull out that set of snap rings to get this off. There's 2 snap rings. There's a bigger one and a smaller one. You don't need to pull out either of those. It will just come right out. But that's what it is. Make sure you grease that, service it. That's about everything that you probably need to see. You know, while you have it out, you could clean everything up and make sure these slide freely. These just pinch. These just pinch right here. It just pinches on the shaft and causes it to hold still for you. Same thing with these other ones. You could take that out and make sure they slide nice and freely, and that just holds this other shaft. You know, this one holds the quill. This one holds the I don't even know what you call it, the standing bar. So just grease those and clean them up, and there you go. That's how you disassemble this whole thing. To put it back together, it's basically the reverse order. But make sure you get the shaft damn clean. You know, get some sandpaper and sand the thing, because it's certainly a pain to put everything back together if it's not clean. So there you go. I hope this helps. I apologize for my lack of correct terminology, or you know, maybe if I missed a few steps, I apologize, but I'm just trying to put this out there to help anybody that could benefit. So good luck.